Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the second to last video of the 2020-21 season. We are almost done. We are so nearly done. We are so close to that Sunday deadline. Oh my word. But guys, there's still a couple of videos left. There's still a little bit of content to be pushed out and there's still a few more decisions to be made. Now today guys, as it's game week 38, there's only 1 week left, which means we can afford to take 1 week punts. Bring in a kind of player that ordinarily you wouldn't want to bring in. You wouldn't want this player for a long time necessarily. It's maybe a little bit of a risk, maybe a little bit of a cheeky differential, maybe it's a little bit spicy. You wouldn't want it long term, but we've only got 1 week left, so we can pretty much go for anyone we like without any long-term repercussions. Now guys, if you are chasing a mini league leader, if you want to boost your rank a little bit in your mini league, if you want to boost your rank overall and you really need that differential, you want to find a player that's a little bit different to what other people have got, then trust me guys, you are in the right place. As a lot of you will know, I absolutely love a differential. I love a punt. And I'm going to share with you guys some players that I've come up with, and I'm going to put them in a form of a full squad. So I'm going to do a full squad of punts, of differentials, all on one page. And there's definitely going to be one in here for you. Trust me, guys. There's definitely going to be one in there, guys. So, yeah, of course, if you do like this video, please do like it. That will really, really mean a lot to me as we approach the end of the season. And, of course, if you're new around here, please do subscribe. You're joining late, but that's fine. Please do join me for the last couple of videos of the season. So, here we go. Here is the pitch. The pitch of greenness, of optical illusions, of hypnotization. And we're going to fill it up with a load of differentials. And, guys, before I go on, I know I put the team value here as 99.8 million. I tried to get roughly as close to 100 million as I possibly could. I wouldn't recommend doing this whole team. If you're on a free hit or a wild card or something like that, probably would not go for this entire team. Might be a little bit too differential, but definitely if you want to pick out 1 or 2 players from this team that you quite fancy bringing into your team, I don't think you're going to regret it. I think you're going to really like these ones. So we're going to start off in goal, and we're going to go all the way through the team, and then we're going to do the bench as well. So let's start off in goal with Edison. Now, the reason I've picked Edison here is because, well, firstly, Man City are typically a good defence. I know they've conceded a few goals recently. Maybe Cancelo's getting red carded was a little bit to do with it last time. Maybe they've been a little bit unlucky like that. But generally speaking, Man City are a good defence. I think we'll all agree with that pretty much. And the other couple of reasons, because there's a few reasons why Edison's a differential pick for this final game week, is firstly, is because he's definitely going to play. So Pep Guardiola has already said he's definitely going to play Edison in this game. Now, this is kind of actually quite significant because going into the last games of the season, very often we'll actually see goalkeepers rotated and backup goalkeepers having their cameo appearance, particularly with teams that don't have anything to play for anymore. We'll have some strange goalkeepers in goal, and we've already started to see that. We've seen sort of Carson for Man City, we've seen Norris for Burnley, and there's going to be a couple other things like that. You know, we'll go on to another one of those players who you probably wouldn't expect to be in goal a little bit later on in the video perhaps. But anyway, Edison, also this game against Everton. Everton keeping it quite tight defensively, to be fair, but Everton are not scoring that many goals. They're not actually doing that much up front. They've been a bit flat in the attacking department, so clean sheets on the card, quite possibly. And Man City, we kind of know that they do want to win this game to get the momentum to go into the Champions League. They've got Champions League football 6 days after this fixture, so a little break, but they do want to keep that momentum going, and hopefully they can get a nice clean sheet. Then we're going to move on to Ben Chilwell here. Plays against Aston Villa, which is a kind of an okay fixture. It's not an amazing fixture. Now, the reason why I've picked a Chelsea player in here, and there's a couple more Chelsea players in this list, don't you worry about that. And the reason I'm going for Chelsea players here is because Chelsea have a lot to play for in this game. They got to win to get the Champions League football that they deserve. Obviously, they can do it without winning, but the only way they can guarantee that they're getting the Champions League is if they get the win. And I do think they are actually going to need to win this game as well if they want to qualify. So it's going to be a really significant game for Chelsea. They are going to play a very strong team. Like I said, there's a little break between now and the Champions League final, so they don't have to worry about resting players too much. And this is a super important game, so we would expect a very strong lineup, to be fair, from Chelsea in this game. Aston Villa, on the other hand, we've spoken a little bit about Aston Villa before. They can't move up in the table. They can't move down in the table anymore. They're set where they are. They can't move. They've got nothing to play for, kind of thing. Maybe you'll say, okay, a couple of the individual players, you know, particularly the English lads, might be playing for their place at the Euros, but overall, Aston Villa not really, not really too much to play for as a whole of the squad. Maybe a bit of rotation there as well. We'll see. Not too sure, but definitely with Chilwell, he's been creating a few chances recently. I think he's got 2 assists in his last 5 games, which is pretty nice. He's kind of on some of those set pieces. He's putting in those crosses. He is more than capable of getting a clean sheet, as Chelsea, they're the ultimate defence in the league right now, aren't they? So a clean sheet and an assist, and suddenly you're looking at like 12 points, and we really are laughing with Chelsea, or with a Chelsea defender like that, if you can get a goal contribution and a regular clean sheet. Looking really, really good. So we'll move on to Kieran Tierney, and this is quite a spicy pick indeed, and I don't know if too many of you have thought of bringing in Tierney or not, but I thought I'd include it in this video. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, and Arsenal have been, surprisingly, in the league, actually doing quite well recently. We're kind of winning a lot of our games. It was a shame Arsenal couldn't win in the Europa League, but there we have it. We didn't. Let's move on from that. But they're actually doing really well in the league, and there is still a little bit to play for Arsenal. They can still creep up a few more positions, possibly get into like a 7th place, maybe if we're very lucky. We can still finish above Spurs, I believe, so that will also be a really big deal for Arsenal. And we've got this nice fixture against Brighton team, and the reason why we've gone for Tierney, a defender, is because Brighton, Morpay is still injured. We've got Welbeck, not injured. He's Morpay is suspended. Welbeck is injured, so there's going to be a couple of major absentees in the attacking areas. Brighton in general have a few absentees all over the pitch, really. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just did a wholesale mix-up of the squad. They've got nothing to play for. They're safe from relegation. They have been for a long while, so there could be a real refresh in that squad there as well. So I do expect that Arsenal will go out here and win with a little bit more to play for, a little bit more pride on the line Arsenal have in a game like this. And Tierney, when he plays, and to be fair, he is injured a lot of the time, but when he's not injured, I genuinely believe he is one of, if not Arsenal's best player. Genuinely. Him going up on the left-hand side, stretching the defence of the opposition, getting those crosses in. Of course, on the other side, Bellerin's going to be injured, so it's probably going to be Chambers on the right-hand side, which means Tierney, in a sense, will be the more attacking of the 2 fullbacks. Give him a little bit of freedom to get up the pitch a little bit, take the odd shot. We know he has scored goals before for Arsenal as well, but most importantly, getting those assists and getting those crosses and stuff in. So I would expect that in a game like this, a clean sheet, and of course, a potential for goal returns as well. So Tierney's a really interesting one that you should definitely be considering. We'll move on to Lindelof, and I won't go on about this too much because it's a fairly boring pick, right? Because we're not really looking for any goals or anything like that, or any assists. But with Lindelof, if you want to pick a Manchester United defender who's likely to start in this easy fixture against Wolves, because it is an easy fixture for a defensive point of view, I do think Lindelof is going to be the defender most likely to start when I look through this Manchester United squad. Who else have they got who can play at centre-back? Well, we've got Eric Bailly, we've got Axel Tuanzebe. Maybe Tuanzebe actually plays at right-back instead of Wan-Bissaka if Wan-Bissaka gets a rest or something like that. But Lindelof, I do think that he is going to be the guy to start in this game for sure. I'm pretty, not for sure, I don't think Shaw's going to play either, but Lindelof, I do think he is going to play indeed. So could be a nice opportunity for a clean sheet if you are looking for a defender around the 4.8 million mark and you're not looking for too much more than clean sheets. It's kind of an interesting pick, right? So move on into midfield, and we'll go for Mane, and Mane is going to be the captain of this team. And in terms of all of these differentials, who would I most entrust with the captain's armband? It's Sadio Mane for sure out of this team. Now, Mane is still differential. He is still a punt. There will not be too many people going for Mane, and a lot of people will struggle to get to Mane. I honestly think, when I look at all of the players this game week and how well they're going to perform and how well I expect them to perform, and I look at the fixtures, Crystal Palace, one of the worst defences in the league. They conceded like the second most goals of any team over the last 5 game weeks. They really are conceding a hell of a lot of goals, Crystal Palace, at the moment. And I look at who's going to play well this season, this game, who's got the most to play for. It's Liverpool, obviously. We know that. And then our eyes are instantly drawn to Salah. That's the first player, right? The first player on everyone's shopping list this game week. If you haven't got him already, and hopefully, guys, most of you already have Salah, but if you don't, Salah's going to be the main guy. But then who next? Well, it's Sadio Mane, and I don't think Mane's form is that much worse than Salah's, to be honest. I think Mane's actually come back into the team. He's played quite well, to be fair. He's going to be much more nailed on now that Jota is injured. I don't think Jota is going to be quite ready for this game against Crystal Palace, which is a very easy game. So we've got a real high-quality player who is finding his form a little bit now, again. Loads to play for. and it's just going to be a huge gain for him. So, like I say, guys, in terms of who I would predict to be the highest scoring players of the game week, and obviously you can never get it right because there's always just a random player from a random team who randomly scores 15, 20 points. But if I had to predict who are the most likely players to score the most points this game week, it goes Salah, and then second, I would say Mane. So for that reason, as a differential, as a punt, you really can't do much better. And I've spoken about Mane to death, so I won't keep going on about it, but I definitely do recommend this one if you can get to Mane. But we'll move on to Pulisic. Now, it's kind of an interesting one. Who do we go for in terms of other Chelsea players? There are a couple of options. I do really rate Pulisic as a player, and he did do really well at the end of last season, and he has shown flashes of brilliance. He's had a few games where he's not got any goal contributions recently. But when I look at this game, and a lot of people will say, okay, well, do we really want to go for Chelsea attacking assets? Because the problem is, Chelsea often score one goal, maybe two goals, and they just sit back, they control the game, they're not really bothered about attacking anymore. If that is the situation that Chelsea find themselves in, they've scored one goal, and they're not really looking to do much attacking anymore, well, they're playing against Aston Villa with nothing to lose whatsoever. Aston Villa have nothing to lose. It really, nothing can go wrong for Aston Villa. They're so set now. So Aston Villa can just press, bomb forward, do everything, go all out attack, which might leave some gaps in behind for some of the pacier players for Chelsea to actually get involved a little bit. Now, I don't know what will happen if Chelsea do go in front. I don't know if that's exactly how it will play out, but I feel like if Chelsea are in front, there is possibility that Aston Villa, particularly some of the attacking players, will just want to commit forward and prove themselves and maybe be a little bit flashy, which might create opportunities for the pacier players for Chelsea to do nice counter-attacks against them. Which kind of leaves us with Pulisic as kind of the fastest of the wing-type players, the wing attackers, I guess, that Chelsea have at their disposal. And, yeah, like I said, I do really like Pulisic. I do think he has a big score in him. He has proven that many, many times over the last maybe year and a half that he can score these massive, massive hauls. Now, is he overpriced? Yes, he is. Would I pay this money for Pulisic for a long-term punt? Absolutely not. But for 1 week only, if you've got cash to splash, why not have a little go on Pulisic? But we'll move on anyway to Ferran Torres. Now, Ferran Torres is a super, super interesting one because when he plays, he scores. Basically, whenever he starts, his record is just phenomenal. The problem is with Torres all season is that more often than not, he's not been starting at all, really, has he? He's kind of been in and out the team. He's never really nailed down a spot. But we kind of saw the other game. He scored a hat-trick, and it was just, and everyone was kind of like, wow, where did this come from? No one really expected this. But in a sense, when you look at Torres's last games, it's kind of like in his last 4 games now, his last 4 starts, it's 5 goals. In his last 5 starts, it's 4 goals and an assist. And we go back further to earlier on in the season, when you look at whenever he has started, he is more often than not, sort of 80% of the time, if he starts, he gets a return, which is really quite incredible. So this is super risky because you are banking on him starting. But if you think that there might be some Manchester City rotation, and often there is, Torres didn't start last game. He's in kind of good form, but at the same time, he wouldn't necessarily be a Champions League starting player, I don't think. So therefore, is he going to get his chance in this game? Is he maybe in contention for being in that Champions League final squad maybe? Or first 11, shall I say? Maybe Pep Guardiola wants to see how he's doing. He's obviously in good form. Can he actually put in another good performance and prove his worth? This is kind of what I'm thinking. Is Torres going to get one more start, one more chance this season and get some game time? Now, it's super risky. This one, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's super risky. But there you go. If you quite fancy it, then why not? This is a video about punts after all, guys. They're all a bit risky, aren't they? But that's the fun, isn't it? That's the fun of Gameweek 38, the last roll of the dice of the season, right? But anyway, we'll move on to a slightly more sensible one in Harrison. I think a few of you guys probably have your eyes on Harrison already, to be fair. He's kind of been the Leeds midfielder who has scored the most points recently. And now, how we'd often say Rafinha is probably the better player, Harrison he's in the better form. Obviously, he's not had an injury, so he's been playing more consistently. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's doing really, really well for himself. And he's got a fairly decent score in very recent history as well, which always helps our confidence when we're picking a player for FPL, doesn't it? Now, based on his form and based on the fact that he's a little bit more differential than Rafinha, maybe if you are thinking of getting Rafinha, or you're thinking about getting a Leeds player and you're not really sure who to pick, maybe Harrison could be your guy because he is in really good form. He is more differential than your Dallas, than your Patrick Bamford, because look, this game against West Brom is obviously a really, really nice fixture indeed. We are going to want some Leeds players, and if you don't have any, or if you only have one, maybe you'll want another Leeds player in your team, and you're kind of wondering, oh, I kind of want to go for someone, but I want a differential. Well, Harrison is probably the guy that you want to look at in terms of that, but we will be talking about Leeds a little bit more shortly. But for now, let's move on to forwards, and we're going to start you off with Teemo Verna. Now, I spoke a little bit about pace before. Teemo Verna is an interesting one because maybe this is more of a price point pick. I know a few of you guys might be looking to replace maybe one of your more expensive forwards. Maybe you're trying to take out Vardy, maybe you're trying to take out Kane, maybe you're trying to take out Calvert-Lewin, and you got about the right money for Verna. It's one that you could go for. It's kind of interesting. We kind of know all season Verna has just not taken the opportunities that have been presented to him. But I actually think he's been playing okay recently. I don't think he's been doing too badly. And I do think the last game of the season, so he's kind of one of the more nailed-on players in that Chelsea team. Could he do the business? Aston Villa, of course, are not a very good defence at all recently. On recent statistics, Aston Villa one of the worst defences in the league, really. They are not doing well defensively at all, Villa, and with nothing to play for, they're going to be even worse, maybe. I don't know. Like I said before, are they going to leave a lot of space in behind for Chelsea to counter-attack if Chelsea try and control the game, or if Chelsea just sit back, or something like that? So there might be opportunities for Verna. In fact, there will be opportunities for Verna in this game. I really, really know that there will be opportunities. It's just a case of whether he takes them or not. It's a punt, and you're kind of betting on the fact that he will take those chances. So if you fancy it, guys, good luck, basically. But we'll move on to Firmino. Around the same price, maybe a slightly more sensible. Now, the problem with Firmino is probably, for a lot of you guys, you're going to be blocked away from getting Firmino. You probably already got 3 Liverpool players already, or if you haven't got 3 Liverpool players, maybe you're actually looking towards Mane. But if Mane is just impossible for you to get to, maybe Firmino is worth a go, because Firmino, although he's outscored Mane recently, Firmino's got a few goals in recent games, which is really, really good for him because he's not had his best season, as I'm sure we all know, in terms of his outputs anyway. But Firmino's got a couple of goals recently. I don't think he's quite the same player as Mane, because Firmino's chances are kind of like, they've been kind of few and far between. That he's not actually had that many goal scoring opportunities, but he has finished them well recently. So maybe that's a sign of good form. Maybe it's a sign that he's kind of getting his clinical streak back a little bit. Not that has Firmino ever really had a clinical streak? I don't know. Maybe some Liverpool fans will throw back to some seasons gone by where Firmino was a lot more clinical than he has been kind of the last year and a half, which I'm sure Firmino was. He was scoring far more goals in the not so distant past, wasn't he? But maybe he's getting back to that a little bit, getting back to scoring ways. He is an attacker in that Liverpool team, which is really important, and this is a really good fixture for Liverpool attackers. So if you've got Salah and you can't get to Mane, maybe for simplicity's sake, maybe Firmino is the answer to your prayers, I guess. But we'll move on to Chris Wood. Chris Wood, you guys will know I'm a very big fan of. He's kind of the most informed striker in the entire Premier League outside of Iheanacho. He goes kind of Iheanacho and then Wood and then I guess Kane, and maybe you put Antonio around that level as well in terms of recent form as well. But, you know, those other guys, Antonio, Iheanacho, Kane, Bamford, yeah, whoever, kind of not really differential enough to put in this team. Obviously, they're great picks, but they're not quite differential enough to go in this team. And Wood, on the other hand, very much is. We've got a game against Sheffield United, the well-established worst team in the league, right? Burnley, are they going to go out with a bang, score a few goals? Is Wood going to continue his form? Wood could have scored a hat-trick against Liverpool the other day. He really was that good. He kind of got really unlucky that he didn't score. So I do think there's going to be more and more opportunities for Wood, as there always is. He gets an endless supply of opportunities. He's been fairly clinical recently. There is going to be goals for Wood. I really do think that, and I'll continue hyping him up. This is going to be a good opportunity for Wood, assuming that he starts the game, which he probably will. I would say probably. You never really know on the last day of the season, do you? That's kind of the fun of it, I guess. But yeah, if Wood starts, this is definitely going to be the kind of the best cheap differential striker to go for, and that's a pretty narrow pool, I guess, but it's still pretty nice. Oh, by the way, guys, on Firmino, we're going to stick vice-captain on him as well. We'll put vice-captain on Firmino. I wasn't really sure who to put vice-captain on. It's kind of just who do you think is the second best option in this team? It's probably Firmino, isn't it, to be fair, when I look through these players. Yeah, Firmino's probably got a decent chance of getting some returns maybe, but honestly, I don't think I would be captaining anyone from this team outside of Mane, because they are all just so differential, and you could go for another differential captain who isn't a differential player in and of himself, but he will be a differential captain. You know, like a Bamford's going to be a differential captain, even though loads of people have him. Not many people will captain him. You can go for Rafinha. You can go for, I don't know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, someone like that. So there are other options, aren't there, of course. But anyway, I think we go to the bench, because there's a few players that nearly got into this team, but not quite. And some of them are slightly cheaper options. But let's have a look at them. Let's throw up the bench. And I'm going to start you off with Casilla, which some of you might not have expected this. Some of you kind of might know this, but of course, Ilyan Meslier for Leeds, the Leeds goalkeeper who has been playing all season, we know he's not going to play any more football this season. We know that already. Bielsa has already come out and said Casilla's going to play the last 2 games of the season. So if you've got Meslier, he's not starting in Game Week 38. If you're thinking about buying Meslier in, and I know 20,000 people or more have already transferred in Meslier this game week. So a lot of people have already transferred in Meslier this game week, not knowing that he's not going to be starting this game, because Casilla is actually going to be the guy starting in goal for Leeds. He's 4.1 million. So if you really, really want a budget, say you want to do 2 transfers, and one of the ways you want to do this is you want to take the money out of your goalkeeper. You're not happy with your goalkeeper, you want to buy a really, really cheap one. Casilla could be the answer there. Could be a solution. West Brom at home, can they keep a clean sheet? Yeah, quite possibly. Can Casilla keep a couple of save points as well? Yeah, why not? So 4.1 million, you can't really go wrong at that price, and particularly if you're on a free hit or something like that, just get him and put him on your bench or something like that, or use the money elsewhere in your team. It really is a really good thing. But we'll move on to Pepe again. The Brighton at home game is pretty good for an Arsenal team who are one of the form teams of the league right now. And Pepe is another one of those players, when he starts, or seemingly more recently at least, whenever he started, he's played really well. He's scored goals. He's got a couple of assists too, but we're mostly looking at goals. And that's where the points are for midfielders at the end of the day. So that's really, really nice. It's a punt. Going for a player like Pepe is always a punt. Would you want to keep Pepe for long term? No, you would not. But that's the point of this video. It's for 1 week only. You're going to put your balls on the line a little bit, and you're going to go for someone like Pepe. Why not? It's a bit of fun, right? So yeah, you could go for him. Super differential. But of course, carries a certain amount of risks. Lowton, Sheffield United game, again, because he plays for Burnley. This is just another good opportunity for a clean sheet against Sheffield United, who don't score many goals, if any goals really, this entire season. So there's a good opportunity for a clean sheet there. And Lowton, he's been a little bit creative recently. He's capable of getting the odd assist, which is always nice as well. So, that's such a potential 9-pointer, or if you add bonus, 10, 11, 12-pointer potentially for Lowton. So the ceiling's not too bad with Lowton, but, mostly we're just looking for clean sheets there. And then finally, Alioski. Kind of, if you can't afford Dallas, I guess Alioski is kind of your backup choice, or if you want to double up on the Leeds defence and you don't like one of your defenders and you really want to swap a defender out. But guys, I would really try and focus more on attackers this game week, because most of the time in Game Week 38, it's more of an attacker's paradise. There's usually a lot of small goals in the final game week. That's usually the case anyway, which is why Game Week 38 is so big in general in FPL, because there's so many goals. So do try and focus more on attackers. But Alioski, if you think he can get a clean sheet, there's always potential for maybe an assist or maybe a goal. Stranger things have happened. And he's super cheap as well. So it's definitely a consideration there. And I thought he might be worth sticking on the bench of this team as well, because he's definitely a player I would consider if I was going for a defender. But I would try and focus your attention, guys, or more on the attacking-minded players, if I'm completely honest. But there you go, guys. That is the team. That is the team of differentials. Hopefully there's 1 or 2 in here that you quite like the look of. This video has been very long, but I'm about to go several months without doing any game week FPL videos, so we got to pack in the content. This is a big time for FPL. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this team if someone stands out to you. Let me know in the comments who you quite fancy out of this team. Who are you thinking of picking out of this team you thought might be the great punt who is going to boost your final game week? Who you think in this team might be the guy to do the job? But there you go, guys. Please like the video if you did enjoy it. Of course, please subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you tomorrow for a team selection video, and then on Sunday for a final deadline stream of the season. Wow, exciting stuff. We're so close to the end. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.